when I hear you talk about an anxiety attack in Burlington Coat Factory, that it has nothing to do with Burlington Coat Factory. But Burlington Coat Factory brought up something inside of you, an emotion that, watch this, your body and your mind say, this feeling doesn't match this context. This feeling doesn't match this situation. It's incongruent. And since it can't understand it, it goes into uncontrollable anxiety mode because there's a feeling. Because fear is healthy. Anxiousness is healthy. Nervousness is healthy. Sadness is healthy. And when I'm in situations I should be sad, I'm sad. When I'm in a situation I should be afraid, I'm afraid. And I use that emotion. But when those emotions come up and they're incongruent with the context, it doesn't make sense to me. And our brains are working so fast. It just happens. I'm not in control of it because the emotion comes up in milliseconds. I'm in anxiety. So my invitation is, this is from Myron Madden. He's a psychologist. There's a book that saved my life in terms of putting it on top of the Bible. And this book saved me, called The Power to Bless. Hard book to find. You can Google it on Amazon. And I've ordered a second copy because I wore the first one out. But this is what he says. Fear and anxiety are repressive emotions that we use to encapsulate and bury the unacceptable thoughts and feelings and experiences of life. And he says, but when we either become emotionally weak and those underlying emotions come up, or we choose to intentionally break through the fear to face those emotions that are buried, they're going to feel the same as the day you buried them, whether it was 5 days or 50 years later. And when I read that, it scared the daylights out of me because my wound was 28 years old. It took me 2 years to heal. And so when I'm hearing the fear, what I really drive towards is, what's the feeling beneath the fear? Because the fear is not about the situation or whatever caused some emotion that happened 5 years ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. That situation's over. We're having new situations. But it's the emotions from the situation that resides in us that come up that the fear is keeping repressed, that the fear is keeping suppressed. And it comes up and it begins to work on us and not us working on it. And so my invitation is to get the support to intentionally break through the fear, to face the emotions and wrestle and work the emotions that are below there and feel them and control them and not have them control you. And the only thing I always say is this. I don't know how, and Justina said it earlier. She took 3 years. One of my journeys with my deepest wound took 2. I don't know how long it'll take. All I know is this. When you begin to take the healing journey, it's going to feel for a while, but it won't feel on day 10 like it did on day 1. It won't feel on year 1 like it did on day 1. And that's the win. The win is sometimes we begin to feel it and we go, I can't do this. I can't bear this. I can't live like this. And then we repress it and put it down again. And here we are, we're carrying it, but we're unacknowledging it. And then it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up. And the thing is, when I sit in it and it hurts like hell and it's nasty and I don't like it. And then I wake up in the morning and I go to work and I go, wait a minute. This thing sucks and it hurts and I'm broken, but I'm still living. I'm still moving. So you don't have the power to hold me down because there's something inside of me that is more powerful than the pain that is trying to keep me down. And just that little win, just that strength of saying God's grace is sufficient. It didn't take the pain away. It's what's allowed me to bear the pain and to work with the pain and work through the pain that I can every day. Now I still have pain, but I have purpose. I still have pain, but I have a victory. And now it feels a little less and it feels a little less. And that's when we transform it and we find the purpose in the pain that I never asked for, the pain I would never want anybody else to go through, the hurt that I didn't think God didn't desire it even if God allowed it. but I'm going to find purpose in it because all things work to the good for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Everything don't feel good. Everything don't work out good, but all things work to the good. And when we wrestle with what's below that fear, we can transform it, not just replace it, not just mask it, but we can transform it and actually find purpose in saying, I was so angry and afraid. I was so angry and afraid. And let me tell you the purpose I found in that anger. Let me tell you the purpose I found in the place of being afraid, because there's something in there that when we wrestle with it, we'll find a purpose. And so that's just my invitation, is to get the community, because it can be so, I'm not even going to say so, because how I teach it is this: it is impossible. It is impossible to take the grieving journey alone. God showed me that. 1 Samuel, and I'm done. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 11. Saul disobeys God, and it says, and the word of the Lord came to Samuel, and God said, I am grieved that I ever made Saul king, for he has turned from following my commandments. And I said, God grieves? I said, well, why is God telling Samuel he's grieving? Because God was giving us an example that we don't do this alone. It wasn't for Samuel to take God's grief. It wasn't for Samuel to fix God's grief, but God was building community, because what the next verse says, after God says what he says, is that, and Samuel grieved all night long and called out to God. They're in a community grieving because they both had a relationship with Saul and his disobedience. And that's what we need. We need to find community or build community, because we can't do it alone. Because even when we do the work, there's work we have to do alone. There is work we go into private and we do it. But watch this. When I go into my closet and I do my work, when I go into the closet and I do my prayer, I do my wound caring, it means nothing if I can't come out and be in community. So I go into the closet and I do certain work, but I come out to actually test. I come out to test the work that I've done on myself. And so I'm going, yes, I don't feel like I did yesterday. See, it's working. And every day it gets different. And Bishop said it. Boy, I tell you, when I joined Clubhouse and I had to stop for a couple of months because I was finishing school and I came back on, I used to go in the rooms and I'd be down on the stage. I'd be like, don't call on me. Please don't call on me. And they wouldn't call on me. And then I went on stage. And I just shared a little something. I just shared from my work. And I was like, well, I don't know what people want to hear. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. But I'm just sharing from my work, my authenticity of heart. And now all of a sudden, I get pinged and I go in the rooms. And all of it is just share the voice. But it wasn't like that on day one. But doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And now I'm just like Justina. I don't go in the rooms to take over. I just go in the rooms, and all of a sudden, if it's a place where God has said you can add value here, and they invite me, then I just am myself, and I have a confidence that I sure didn't have on day one. But I couldn't have had it if I didn't take that first step, and see that what I had to share, people were finding value in, and it was helping people. And that was the thing. It wasn't about me feeling so good about sharing, and I was like, oh my God, somebody said that helped them. And my heart just sang. And I was like, whoa, that gave me confidence. I was like, I didn't know what I was supposed to share, but it blessed somebody. And so we can bless ourselves in our healing journey when we do that work, we find that community, and we get those little victories, and we find out that no matter how painful it is, there is a power at work in us that is stronger than any pain that is trying to work on us. My God, I think I just said something. I'm done right there. There's a power at work in us that is stronger than any pain that is trying to work on us. Somebody tweet that. That is a tweetable right there. Woo! I'm going to Instagram right now. That just got me. Woo! There is a power inside of us that is greater than any pain that is trying to work on us. Somebody need to know. And here's the thing. Me being out of church, left church, I'm done with y'all, 14 years doing my thing. Watch this. This how good my God is. That power was still working in me and on me and for me, even when I wasn't trying to work with it. Because I know I look back over my life, and when I was driving drunk on a one-way street the wrong way, he kept me. I know when I was in the middle of the street fighting and police officers grabbed me from the back and I lifted the police officer to throw him over my head. And when I sat him down, I know he's covering me, because if that was today, I would have been a Tamir Rice. If that was today, I would have been an Ahmaud Arbery, because I know the things I did, I would. But even when I wasn't working with him, he was working in me and on me. And I can reflect on that now, because he reigns on the just and the unjust. So it wasn't just he's working on me because I was working with him. He's working. And when I see that, even when I thought I couldn't bear that pain, but I can't do it, guess what? He's doing it in me. Because he's not going to let the bottom fall out on me. He may let me go to the bottom, because that's where the essence of his mercy is, but he's not going to let the bottom fall out on me, because he's keeping me. And when we get those little victories and we see that power that's keeping us, that can't nobody stop, then I know that power is greater than any pain that I have. Anything that people bring to my doorstep cannot stop and cannot thwart the power of God. God bless you.